Morning, everybody. Just taking a moment here to say we're going to start on the hour. We have a couple people coming through, so as people come in, we'll repeat this. But for now, if you could try your hand at the chat, put an answer either in the Q&A or the chat forum. That just makes sure everybody knows if you have a question, you know where to find it. Also, entertain ourselves for the 2 minutes before we start. Had a note that the chat is disabled, so you have to use the Q&A. Thank you for letting me know. So don't use the chat, use the Q&A and see if you have an answer to the question. How many years has the ISO 50001 standard been available? All right, it's 11 o'clock and I'm going to get started. So good morning and welcome everyone to PENTAP's webinar on implementing an EnMS with 50001 Ready. It looks like we only had one person commit to answering the question, but we're going to get started. So for those online, if you take a moment to mentally take a guess, or you can throw it into the Q&A, the answer is B, 12 years. The ISO 50001 standard was first published in June 2011, making it 12 years old this year. So currently there is a 2018 edition that has been published, which makes that the second edition to this standard. Some housekeeping tips before we all get started. So all attendees are automatically muted with their cameras turned off. Attendees can submit questions to the Q&A button. Our presenters, me, I will field questions at the end of this presentation. Any follow-up that you have after the fact, you can absolutely email me or pentap@psu.edu. This webinar is recorded and will be available on PENTAP's event page. Attendees will also receive a follow-up email with a link to this recording and additional information associated with this topic. So today, I would like to introduce myself. I am Alana Colvin, and I am the Associate Director of Programming at PENTAP. More importantly, though, I was an educator and coach on the PENTAP 50001 cohort this past year. So I'm going to be sharing details and expectations for this upcoming cohort. Before we get started and move into that, I would like to take an opportunity, though, to tell you a little bit more about PENTAP. The Pennsylvania Technical Assistance Program at Penn State, also known as PENTAP, is a statewide grant-funded organization housed within the Office of Industrial Partnerships at Penn State and is charged with supporting Pennsylvania businesses and anchor institutions, including our manufacturers, municipalities, educational institutions, entrepreneurs, and economic development agencies. We have been working for over 50 years and is one of the first technical agencies available in the country. PENTAP focuses on helping Pennsylvania businesses through two primary areas of expertise. We have energy and operational assessments, and then we have university and innovation connections. Through these pillars, we strive to help to increase your business's success and drive economic growth in Pennsylvania. You can find out more on our website. PENTAP has a diverse staff covering both services, energy and innovation, across all of Pennsylvania. More information about any of us or the range of our services can be found on the website. To review our 2022 impact, though, this past year, we have done a lot and it's been very exciting. Through our partnerships and grant work, we've accounted for $8.3 million in economic benefits, educated over 1,000 individuals, and engaged over 220 students. Completed work across 40 counties in Pennsylvania, closed out 99 client projects, where 60% of those projects were environmental justice areas. And we have either created or saved 85 jobs across the state. It was a very exciting year for our communities, and we're very excited to continue this work in 2023, including hosting this webinar and cohort. So to move into today's content, this webinar is going to be broken into 3 parts. First part is an overview of energy management systems as a whole. Second part, we're going to discuss the Department of Energy DOE's 50,001 Ready program, outlining the certification program and its benefits. Then we're going to close with a discussion on the upcoming cohort that PENTAP will be hosting this spring. I have a lot of content, and so I am going to be talking quickly in order to get through all of that content, so we have enough time for questions at the end. I will stay on for as long as needed, though, just saying it out loud at the start of the hour in case questions come through and we need to take that time. So first up is our energy management systems, or EnMS. Sorry. The EnMS definition is a management system to establish an energy policy or objectives, energy targets, actions, and processes to achieve objectives and energy targets. This is through the ISO standard. So ISO has defined this. There is only one national standard that we have, which is the ISO program. There are many other frameworks available out there, but they are governing standards. Are they from our local governments, federal programs, or they are extraordinarily focused? So the ISO definition of energy management system is the one that we use. This is where a company will take their framework and we will implement that across the organization, making space for benefits across the org. So what do those benefits look like? Why would you implement an energy management system? For example, there are non-energy benefits. So counterintuitive maybe, but implementing an energy management system, you can consider ESGs, or environment, social governance, and the metrics related to those practices. And EnMS will provide results that immediately and directly support ESGs, whether or not you're working on this platform or if it's a future thought. So if you're trying to figure out how to chase these types of metrics and communicate your investments of these metrics, note that an energy management system will directly provide you that platform to capitalize on. There are also financial benefits to an energy management system. Consider a company that is not paying attention to their energy costs. Energy costs are categorized as incurring costs to the business. You need electricity, fuel, water, wastewater services. The bills are received and then you pay them. Over time, those costs will grow for various reasons, whether it's the economy or you use more because you've expanded, however. But if no one is reviewing these bills and the costs, they will grow without challenge. So here is that example of no effort being going towards your energy and managing such. Then there are those, and I see this often, where they do notice the energy costs and do take action throughout the business cycle to reduce those costs. However, it is usually seen that once you reduce those costs, you can take the people and start focusing on the next fire. So you get this cyclical event where you focus time, you make those adjustments in your business, you reduce your costs, you reduce your fuel consumption, but then you take those people and start focusing on the next problem. So therefore, costs can start rising again until it becomes a conversation. So this is an approach that I've seen by many. It does work. However, you can end up spending a lot of money without a lot of focus. You will do one project at a time. It will make sense in that moment. You may not balance that against other projects, and you will spend the money that it takes to get it done and then focus on the next best thing. So here, you're not quite managing your energy in a strategic manner, but you're doing the best that you can. So moving on from that concept, what if you had a framework that gave you the opportunity to manage your energy, reduce costs, and then maintain that pattern instead of falling back into the ups and downs? So when a company uses an energy management system, the costs are able to be reduced permanently. The biggest key is to create a plan that improves your energy for the long term. This plan, when it properly developed, may cause some short-term increase. So you can see that line goes up at the beginning. That's because you have to put down an initial investment. You either have to put time in and maybe new equipment or maybe a new process or new leads. more people, but you're able to take that and then capitalize that and start reducing your energy, reducing your costs, and making room for other projects in a strategic and thought out manner. That's how the various building challenges work. You've probably seen DOE host a variety of building challenges, such as the Better Plants, Better Buildings, Better Plants challenge, or even the decarbonization challenge. That's what they're using, is this framework right here. But they are not supporting, they are not telling you how to implement that energy management system. I would be telling you how to implement that energy management system to influence and support your Better Buildings challenge and to support your decarbonization challenge. So why an energy management system? Because you'll have operational costs, you want to reduce your energy consumption, and you want to reduce your emissions. You have, if you have priorities for your ESGs, decarbonization, sustainability goals, what have you, an energy management system will directly support those. The DOE Better Buildings has published business case brochures for manufacturers interested in the management systems, in addition to case studies, videos, and webinars on the benefit. So if you need more material, that material does exist, and we can help you find that or have more conversations supporting that. So from there, we're going to look at 50001 Ready. As mentioned, there is the ISO 50001, which was initially released in 2011. There isn't another holistic governing standard for energy management systems. There are the government programs, as mentioned, but you have Energy Star, Better Buildings, Better Plants. You have Portfolio Manager, ASHRAE, Certified Energy Managers. There are a lot of programs out there that are very focused. But if you do several of these together, you can create a strategic energy management system. But that requires a lot of effort and a lot of moving parts. So here we have 50001 Ready, which is taking that 50,000 ISO standard, breaking it down, making it helpful for a company without having to certify to an ISO standard. It is verified by the Department of Energy. Guidance is based on the 50,001 standard. It's free. There is technical support, and it also has room for project management in a Navigator tool, which we will look at briefly. They have taken the standard, the ISO standard, and broken it out into 7 specific sections. You can see those here. So here we have the DOE Navigator platform. This platform is the space for 50001 Ready for you to stay organized and on top of everything you need to do to create this energy management system. They have context of the organization, leadership, planning, support, operations, performance evaluation, and improvement. Within these 7 sections, there's a total of 25 tasks or 25 steps that you will need to take in order to receive 100% across each section. What's really nice about this is if you are looking to take on a program this big, you can piecemeal it together. You can do some over here, some over there, but you can see the total need at the same time. It really helps break it down for people, take that bite size of the elephant and work through what you most need now and how to develop something later. This is, again, all at no cost and available to you. Under each section, we said there were tasks. So you can see here, context of the organization was a section, and then you jump into task 1, and it gives you all the definitions associated with that. You can see that there are 3 tasks under context of the organization, 3 tasks under leadership, 7 tasks under planning, 3 tasks under support. Operations has 3 tasks, performance is 4, and improvement is 2. So that's how you get to the 25 tasks. Taking a moment to just take on a task and look into what it provides you. I have pulled up task 1, which is an EnMS and your organization. The Navigator is set up with several tabs, each providing more details and guidance specific to that task. The Getting It Done task is a moment to define its purpose and the goal of completing task 1. Task Overview goes into more details about what to expect and why you should be doing it and how to relate it to the ISO standard. You have full description, which is a great dive into the purpose, the full agenda, implementation strategies, and other helpful tips. There's a new tab. So if you've seen this before, I want to highlight that decarbonization has been added to different tasks in order for you to blend those programs. So there's awesome resources available there. Note is a program management tool for you to use at your own will. Playbook has supporting files, and the assignments are just where you can use another program management tool to assign people if you didn't have an internal system, for example. Taking a moment just to dive into Playbook, that one task. So under Playbook, I said there were resources. Those resources include a Word document for each task. Each task has been laid out with what you need to do in order to create a usable, useful EnMS framework. Following each one of these tasks and filling this out to the best that your company can do, it is customizable, it's made for your company. You could certify to ISO 50001 at the end if you so chose to. You don't have to in this program, you can just chase the certification. But if you wanted to take the next step and go, you know what, I want to be ISO certified, you would have everything ready for you to do that. So just wanted to highlight that as well. If you want to chase that, this will get you there in addition. There are hundreds of facilities who have been recognized by the DOE 50001 Ready program. You can see the full list of companies and the specific facilities on the Better Buildings website. You may have seen that PENTAP has published a news story on JLG Industries after the closeout of our first cohort. We sent that out in a newsletter. At the end of the first cohort, JLG at the McConnellsburg location submitted their request, which is a self-attestation form and a baseline energy performance report, and they were approved for the 50001 Ready recognition. PENTAP was featured as a supporting organization due to JLG's participation in our cohort. They also resubmitted for their Shippensburg site, and I want to note that here you can see that Shippensburg has 2 dates because they met the annual compliance where they resubmitted to say that they were meeting an EnMS framework. JLG is also part of the Better Plants Challenge. Wanted to highlight that. They're using, though, this EnMS framework to strengthen their position in that challenge and to become an industry leader in reducing their scope emissions and energy consumption. So to reiterate, this program is available online at no cost. You can complete these steps at your pace, reach out to DOE whenever you're ready to be recognized, and you can obtain all the benefits from the ISO standard without having to commit to the ISO process. Also note that if you would later like to become ISO certified, you can because you have everything you need in place. Which leads us to our last part of the discussion. Having introduced energy management system, having introduced the platform 50001 Ready, we have the PENTAP cohort. So PENTAP cohort, I want to say a thank you to the US DOE and the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory for providing us the funding to make this cohort occur at no cost to any of the participants. This is very special. These cohorts are typically offered at a cost. Therefore, again, thank you for both US DOE and Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory for their participation. So why PENTAP? Why PENTAP providing this cohort? PENTAP is a 51,000 Ready partner. We are keeping up with all the changes and improvements that are at work with the DOE, and that gives PENTAP access to the up and coming technical resources that are available and or being developed, such as blending environment and sustainability practices into a 50,001 program, and in addition to the new decarbonization information that's available. We will be incorporating those benefits into our cohort. And so what does it look like? PENTAP is going to offer this cohort, and what does that mean for you? We will take those 25 steps. We're going to break them down in a way that helps you digest that information. We'll have learning sessions. We're going to have coaching sessions. We're going to have sessions where we go over each task, as you can see here in module space. We will discuss examples. We'll have other companies in that cohort to bounce ideas off of. We will have best practices. We'll have pitfalls. We will be there to help you through any barriers that you come through. We'll be also working together on those tasks. So if you need to vet something out, have questions, would like to change something up and want to know if that's meeting the requirement, we will be there to walk it through with you. We'll have several one-on-one sessions in addition to those group sessions. Taking a moment to reflect that typically a ISO ready program, if you were to take this on your own, is an average of 18 months to 24 months, so up to a 2-year program per the DOE. PENTAP is suggesting that we take that 18-month program and cut it down into 7 months. This is possible because we're going to have 2 concurrent paths taking place at the same time. There are 25 tasks, and if you remember, there were the 7 sections. Some of those sections, some of those tasks are leadership heavy, management heavy, and then other tasks are going to be staff heavy, working group heavy. So we take those, separate them, and go in an appointed way to make sure that you guys, companies, are able to take on this in a manner that meets the expectations of 7 months. Note that you do not have to be certified at the end of those 7 months. It's just the amount of time that PENTAP has to offer this free cohort. You have our undivided attention in that time, and it is behooves you to utilize as much of our time to get these tasks done. It is a heavy lift, and we are accelerating it. It is possible to complete. JLG completed this program in the 7-8 months. And then we have 3 others from our first cohort who will be finalizing their documentation this year, so in 2023. One of the commitment moments that I would like to highlight is, in order for this to be possible, I would like 1 person from a leadership position and 1 person from staff to be committed in this cohort. What commitment looks like is whatever you can offer, but as a rule of thumb, I would say 1 day a week, 4 days a month, 20% of your time. That way, you know that you can get this done in an effective manner and move forward with the modules. So by the end of this cohort, PENTAP's goals for any cohort are the following. We want you to gain organizational support for implementing a 50001 Ready Energy Management System at your company. So organizational support means management, top management, middle management. Everybody understands what this looks like and is willing to support it and give time to it. Implement a 50001 Ready tasks and put continuous improvements in place. During those 7 months, we will be creating that framework. There is no solving a problem during that time. We are just putting everything down for you to start implementing into the following year. The first year has nothing to do with savings. The first year has everything to do with putting down the framework in order to implement savings. That's what PENTAP is focusing on. After the cohort, I want you to be in a place that you could self-attest for recognition or be on your way to do so. As mentioned, JLG was able to go and chase that a month after we finished. We have several other companies, though, who are in the cohort who will be chasing that this year. That's when it made sense for them and when they had the time to do it. We'll support that whichever way it looks like. Next, steps and expectations. So if you have an interest in participating in the cohort, please reach out to me or anyone on the PENTAP team directly, and we can plan a meeting to discuss. So this cohort is at no cost. We do have a promissory commitment form for a leadership and staff member to sign. This is not a contract, but I must have this signed. It shows us that your organization has discussed this program internally and will be on the same page. It sounds small, but it's a big commitment piece. We have a syllabus breaking out our timeline. We have team members, we have expectations, we have other commitments that we will explain to you in that one-on-one meeting. We will, you will receive that meeting invitation for learning sessions. So 7 months, 1 learning session a month. And then we're going to plan out coaching calls, which we have a minimum of 1 a month. You can have more though, if it makes sense or as needed. Those coaching calls will be out with a one-on-one advisor, and we will make sure to have all of that on the calendar so that you have time for this program. We'll also send additional information closer to the start date of the cohort, such as we're going to break down the tasks. We have module notes, we have case examples, we have supporting material for your learning. All of that would occur closer to the date versus further away from the date to make sure that your commitment, nothing has popped up in the meantime. Our intention is to start in April 2023 and go until October 2023. I would like to highlight that the cohort must be 5 companies. If there is not 5 companies at the time, we will push the dates. So just being transparent and saying out loud. Each module will occur once a month, 1 coaching call a month over the 7 months. Modules are group-based. So everybody, the leadership and the staff representative for each facility will be on the call, or as best as they can attend. Those will be recorded so that you can watch it later if necessary. But having that group discussion, that is the value added of attending. Those moments where we can break down the tasks and look at how companies are going to approach those tasks, there is a lot of benefit from that. Group discussions are kept at the surface level. We do not go into specific product or processes that there is no need in that case. If there is a need, we can do that in the one-on-one coaching calls and look more into those processes. So who is this right for? PENTAP is looking for manufacturing companies. If you are on the call today, though, and have an interest, please reach out and we will talk to you. So we'll vet that out together. You can have one site or agree to a multiple site participation. There's 2 forms. You can sign up for more than 1 facility, but note that you need participant from each facility. So it doesn't mean that you signed up 3 buildings, but only have 2 people. I would anticipate 6 people. Particularly 1 from leadership, 1 from a functional group. Bonus points. So, as mentioned a little bit earlier, looking for people who have an interest in sustainability. ISO 14001 is the environment management system. And if you have an equivalent program to that, say you're not certified, but you meet the expectations of ISO 14001 or have a sustainability program that makes sense for your industry, we would really like to work with you to blend this energy management system plus energy management system. So if you do have something already in play, we would love to talk more with you and see if this is a great fit for you or not. We will also have a focus on decarbonization. As you plan energy projects, seeing that become more and more of an ESG goal, we will also have more information for those types of goals as well. So not just the equivalent environment programs, but also that decarb. Some food for thought. So case study, Volvo. Back in 2012, PENTAP had a cohort. It was right after the ISO standard came out. So ISO standard came out in 2011. And a year later, PENTAP had one of the first cohorts associated with this. It was a ISO 50001 program, not a 50001 Ready program. And there was the Superior Energy Performance SEP program as well, which is still available, but just not the focus of today. We hosted this, and Volvo was one of our clients, and they actually ended up being one of the very first ISO 50001 certified facility in the United States. Under their EnMS program, they've confirmed 25% increase in energy performance. So they're utilizing their systems to the best of their abilities over 3 years. So it wasn't right away. It was over a 3-year period, but they saw progress every year. So just wanted to highlight that. This is not an instantaneous gratification moment. You will put the time in, we will lay it out, and then you will implement projects as they make sense and as you've evaluated them, not from an emotional standpoint, but from a weighted and cost evaluated standpoint. They invested over $300,000 in order to become Superior Energy Performance, SEP recognized, in addition to their ISO certification. This is something you don't have to do, but you can do if you want to. SEP has different standards, gold, platinum, silver, and Volvo saw the benefit of going towards that program. Again, 50001 Ready is the starting block. If you take that program and go for ISO 50001 certification, that's fantastic. And from there, you can go and take on the SEP certification, which is fantastic. What I wanted to highlight here is that they had to invest in order to meet that. So there are those moments where you're going to have to look and go, okay, I'm going to invest in my energy, or I'm going to invest in this so I can reach an energy goal, decarb goal, or ESG goal. So that is a lot of this. It's not just making sure that your bills are the best that they can be, the most affordable that they can be. It's also that continuous improvement and growth at your facility level. So after this, they had over $800,000 in operational savings. And to note, it's 5 months payback or a return on investment of 200%, however you want to look at that. There's a lot of benefit for taking that time, that effort, and that investment. And as mentioned, this immediately plays into your ESG goals. So if those are something that you have and need a framework around, this immediately supports that. Wanted to highlight JLG because they were an immediate success out of our first cohort. So as mentioned, they were in the Better Plants program starting in 2014. So in 2014, JLG made a commitment. Then in 2021, they were like, you know what? I am going to do PENTAP's cohort. This is something important I wanted to highlight. You can be participating in a program, but that doesn't mean that you stop and don't look in for other opportunities. The cohort, the reason they chased this cohort was because of their ability to take on projects. This model right here was what they were doing. They were doing one project at a time as they could afford it, as it made sense, and without looking at other factors, without balancing it in the system of operations and those goals that they needed to commit. They do have goals with the Better Plants, and then they have even more top-down goals because they have ESGs now. So going into that, they needed a more systematic, more formulaic, controlled manner to take on energy and its benefits, which is why they joined the program. And therefore, they have been able to see success and record it in a stronger manner to send up the chain. So the over $300,000 in savings due to energy projects, that is from all that they did record. So they've been doing stuff since 2014, but they have not captured everything that they have done. They didn't have something in place. If one person at one facility was doing one thing, maybe they captured it, maybe they did not. There wasn't the framework there for everybody to be on the same page. So although this number is a fantastic number, it is actually not the total, which same goes for the energy. This is the best that they have, 3 million kilowatt hours of energy saved, which is fantastic. They had over 6,000 MMBTU of natural gas saved, which is fantastic, but they have more. It's just they didn't have the space to record that in an effective manner across the whole company. The energy management system now gives them that platform, so now they can chase together on the same page instead of chasing ad hoc. So from their upcoming programs, besides the cohort that's taking place in April timeframe, PENTAP also has PENTAP industry roundtables that are coming up this spring. This is unrelated to the cohort and can also be utilized from the manufacturers on call today. So we're looking for metal and food manufacturers to participate in our industry roundtables on pollution prevention. We are trying to understand manufacturers' priorities, challenges, successes, and concerns to help PENTAP craft a pollution prevention P2 tailored program to these specific industries. We're able to do this due to funding provided by the US EPA bipartisan infrastructure law. We're very excited about these programs. If you have any additional questions, you can contact Krista on the PENTAP team. Her email address and phone number are listed here. Again, what we're looking for are people to participate in these forums so that we can learn more about the pollution prevention side of things and what we can do for our metals industry and food industry, which are top industries in Pennsylvania. Consume a lot of energy, have a lot of pollution that's just part of the process. You have to clean in place, you have to clean your metals, you have paints, you have different processes that must happen. So taking on those quote unquote must happen processes and seeing if there's a way to create the best opportunity for everybody. More information will come out about those here soon with surveys out to you. There's also a Better Buildings webinar that's taking place in just a couple of days. So if you want more information about the ISO program, not necessarily the ISO Ready, 50001 Ready program, there will be this webinar provided by DOE, which will just give you more of a basis on ISO 50001, its expectations, the frameworks, the would, wills, should, shalls, because it is an ISO standard. But you can really understand what the Ready program is trying to accomplish and just take out that commitment piece. There is no final audit that says, hey, you are certified to ISO. Instead, it's a self-attestation form. And that form allows you to be certified and you just continue that process instead. So a lot less risk. But I do think very valuable information can come from that webinar. So I really want to advertise for that. Also, to stay up on top of funding opportunities, there's the university programs and also other PENTAP opportunities. You can sign up for our monthly newsletter, subscribe through our website, pentap.psu.edu. There is the subscribe button at the very top, and you can stay on top of anything that we're up to. So if you're a metal manufacturer, food manufacturer, and you want to find out more, we're going to post in that newsletter. If you just want to know more about funding opportunities that make sense for you, we'll post that in the newsletter. Our newsletter is regional based too. So we'll have placeholders for if you're in the Southwest area, if you're in the Northwest area, if you're in the center of the state or east side of the state. There are moments there that are specific programs. So that way too, you can like understand what's happening in your area in addition to, hey, Pennsylvania, this is what's happening here in the state. Some key takeaways and our the Sustainable Development Goals. Energy management systems do have a business case. The DOE Better Buildings has the brochures, the case studies, videos, webinars on the benefits of implementing an energy management system. Highly recommend you go there and look at those case studies. PENTAP has also published a news story on JLG's 51,000 Ready recognition success and the benefits of that, our cohort program, and their recognition in reaching this goal. So just another, hey, these exist out there. If you need to take them back to management or if you need to take them down to the staff level, they're there. Also want to highlight one more time, energy management systems will immediately and directly support any ESG goals. So as this becomes a more popular topic, as decarbonization and energy management and electrification, what have you, all become a social standard in conversation, know that you don't have to take on those projects one at a time. You can have this framework in place to immediately and directly support all of those goals. The cohort is 7 months long at no cost to participants, and this is made possible through the funding from DOE and Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. It is unknown if a cohort will be at no cost in future years. So did want to give that as a takeaway as well. This is something that I cannot predict, but we know as of now we have the funding, and so we will carry out this funding for this next cohort. And with that, we have questions and answers. So I would like to take time to go over different questions that people have and or discuss anything, give you what you need feedback wise. In the question and answer, we have, could the cohort take on hospitals, or is it only for manufacturers? I would say, I'm not going to say no to anybody at this second. I would say we need to have a phone call. We'll talk it out and we'll understand your size of the hospital. So which hospital you are, we can vet that out. We can vet out what location it is that you're looking at, how many locations, and we can just open up that discussion. From there, we'll make decisions, but not to suggest either way in this place. I would like to give you more time. So by all means, reach out to us and we can help you. Size of the location. The size of your facility is not an issue. We've had in the first cohort companies that were made up of 100 people, and then companies like JLG and Train Industries who are made up of many people. That isn't a problem. We will make sure to critique and cater towards your needs. All of those tasks, the 25 tasks, those are set up for anyone to use in a one-size-fits-all manner. Obviously, every company, every facility, what you do at that facility will change and alter. And therefore, what have you already done that you can utilize, or what do you need to take away from? That will all be considered. That's one of the benefits of joining a cohort. We can vet that out for you and go, nope, this is the most important thing that you need to tackle, versus that's the reason, we can give you the reasons behind why something is said and how it's said. Could a small township with farm production participate? Taking a moment to think. Small township with farm production. I would love to go into more detail of specifically what that looks like. So farm production, maybe, if it makes sense, if you're a farm, like a dairy farm that has cows and you have your milk barn and you have all these other pieces. So in my head, that kind of production, I would say this scope might be beyond what you need. So more details, I need a couple more details to try to answer that in a holistic manner. By all means, again, call me and we can talk that out and see if that makes sense. From a township perspective, I am not sure, and we would need to vet. So reach out to me and give me more details on the scenario, and I can see what makes sense, or if there's maybe a different program. There are other programs out there besides the 50,001 Ready program. Depending on your needs, maybe a different program would be more appropriate. So we can talk that out. Is this cohort appropriate as a planning tool for new production facility, or is this only for new facilities? Love that, great question. It's for anybody facility-wise. So as far as existing buildings, you'll have existing policies and procedures. You might, if it's manufacturing, you might have quality management system, you might have environment management system. If it's automotive, if it's healthcare, if it's FDA, you have whatever process that you need to have in order to be a functioning manufacturer. So energy management systems, they pair up with those processes. I'm most familiar with the ISO 9001 and 14001 in my own personal experiences. ISO butts up real nice with the 50,001 because they're all the same original author. But if you have other processes, this program can real easily work in and be part of those processes as well. If you're a new company that's trying to create a business model, like if you don't have the brick and mortar yet and you're working through this, you're going to take this on in a very different way. You'll be creating this up front and establishing the culture up front. I think depending on where you are in the planning process, we would, again, want to vet out and make sure that it makes sense. But yes, long answer short, you can participate whether you're a new facility or an existing facility. Energy management doesn't care how long you've been in business for. For those interested in the 14,001 and 15,001, how is the funding affected? When must the participants sign up for the cohort to join this year? So as laid out, contact us, we go through a vetting. So we want to have that one-on-one meeting to make sure that everyone understands what you're signing up for. There's that promissory note that you have to sign. There are, just steps. It's a program, there's steps. So we start there and we carry it forward. So the 14,001 and 50,001, it does not, when you say how is the funding affected, are you asking about my funding as far as a free cohort, or are you asking about your side of things, your time? From my perspective, the cohort doesn't care. The cohort will be looking at 14,001 and 50,001 as a crossover. So our goal is 50,001 and blending it with that 14,001. So if you already have 14,001, we're going to work to leverage all of the work you've already done to establish that, all the work you go through for audits and maintaining that. You have a lot of policy procedure already vetted, and it would be ridiculous not to review that and say, you know what, this is great, and we're going to utilize that in this energy management system. Note that 14,001 has a lot of caveats. You can have fire cabinets to take care of your chemicals. That's great for the environment. That makes sure that if you have a spill, it's contained, or if something's flammable, it's contained. As far as energy goes, that's doesn't really have a crossover. So certain things in the 14,001 will make a lot of sense in crossover, and certain things will not. And we can also just help vet that out in the language out. So that's what we're looking for. We will not be implementing ISO 14,001 with you, just to clarify. It will be a blended effort where we're looking at 50,001 and taking on the environment side of things that you've already established in a sustainability program and or a formal ISO program. So from my perspective, no additional funding needed for the cohort. From your perspective, if you have the 14,001, your time, if you're not engaged in 14,001, if you have an EMS or EHS individual at site and you're not that individual, So although you're the one signed up to participate in the cohort back and forth, the training modules and just the current talk out, it may take you a little bit more time to play catch up because you'll have to understand what 14,001, what they're doing in the EHS area. So as far as your time goes, it just depends on where you sit in relation to that information. When I suggested that it will be 20% of your time, it's a high-low. It's a high-low. Some things are going to take 5% of your time. Some things are going to take maybe a little bit extra than the 20%. Just depends on which task we're looking at, how big your company is, and how much red tape your company has put in the way for you to do something like this. This is a management system. It is not a light lift. There will be red tape due to your company. So for that side of the coin, some people, it might be real quick and simple to look at. And in some instances, it's going to take a little bit of effort. It's going to take coordination of your staff. It's going to take coordination and conversations behind the scenes. But that's where those one-on-one coaching calls come very helpful to help coordinate those efforts. I hope that answered that question. Have colleges or universities utilized 50,001 Ready? And if so, have they participated in cohorts? So absolutely, there is a huge benefit for any facility to take on the energy management system. ISO, again, being the framework that's defined, 50,001 being the free framework that's out there. There's a lot of benefit for managing how you use energy. And universities, hospitals, like as previously mentioned, there's a lot of energy use, especially in uncontrolled moments. From a university's perspective, you might have classrooms that are left on for a chaotic amount of time, or you need to heat rooms that even though they're being heated, there's no one there. So a lot of energy use at universities. So managing your energy, fantastic idea. Energy management system, 50,001, great tool to use. Will help you so that you don't have to start from the beginning and go, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. As far as utilizing this cohort, no. This cohort does have a focus on that manufacturing side. Again, always open to a conversation so that we understand, and maybe there's another resource that we can connect you with. There are other cohorts out there. Some of them are at cost, so I'm not guaranteeing a free cohort, but I am saying that there are other resources out there and maybe there's something that you can utilize. Same thing for the hospital conversation. Let's talk it out and see if there's something that makes sense for you guys to partake in. Definitely helpful though, 110% helpful. I see. So the chat has moved on our side. Is there any additional costs if we don't have 14,001? All right, so if you don't have 14,001 and want to do the cohort, that's also totally fine. You don't need 14,001 to do the cohort. It was bonus points. 14,001 is the environment management system. So that means that you have taken an approach to the environment is the holistic and put framework, policy, and procedure in place. So you put time and commitment in there, and we want to utilize that time and commitment. If you don't have that already, you're going to probably have things that you just didn't realize you had. You might have air permits. You might have other working permits, chemical stuff, etc., that actually would fall into an ENS. I always say that, but the environment management system. But since you formally don't have that, you don't lock it tight. So likely you do have stuff in place, especially if you're a manufacturing facility, that we can take on, use language and facilitate. Last cohort, we did not require 14,001 from anybody. This year, we're just trying to get a more pointed audience with that, but it's entirely possible. JLG doesn't have 14,001 at the site that they did. So it doesn't hinder you as far as not having it. It will be whatever the effort is, it will be the effort. Anonymous attendee, I apologize that I missed your answer to this question. Can you give me the short yes or no? Absolutely. Is the cohort appropriate for a new facility or an existing facility? You can use this for either type. Yes, you can use this for a new facility. Yes, you can use this for an existing facility. That's the short. Also, anonymous attendee, by all means, if you have like a specific, how new is this production facility, reach out and we can actually like make sure that it makes sense. Last year, there were people who were interested in the cohort who had just hired on new staff. So new support people in maintenance, new support people in the EHS spaces. And we told them, you know what, this might not be the cohort for you, because those new people wouldn't have time to understand the whole organization. They're catching up as well. So you don't want to put yourself in a position that you're going to fail. And PENTAP doesn't want you in that position either. It's no fun, it's stressful, and the weight, you can feel the weight. So we value that upfront conversation just to make sure you're able to commit that time and it's reasonable for you to commit that time. So again, new production facility, absolutely, totally. But let's just make sure that you're not going to bite off more than you can chew just because you want the pretty star. Let's make sure that we're taking on things in the right order and the way that makes the most sense. That was a long answer again. All right. So lots of questions. And if you have questions, email me, call me. I had my phone number up there. This is my contact information again. We'll have all kinds of information out to you in the follow-up email. You should see the follow-up email sometime next week. We'll have different, again, scenarios, the brochures, the case studies. I want to have all of that to you guys so you don't have to find it. You'll also have this webinar so that you can chase all that information again and share that information up the line. So thank you so much for attending. If there aren't any more questions, I will end now. Thanks again. Take care, everybody.